and welcome back to CADVent 2024, 24 days of festive design in Autodesk Fusion. It is day 23. We are almost at Christmas. Well done if you've managed to keep up with all of the designs throughout Advent this year. My name is Elizabeth Bishop and you can find me on my social medias at 3dbish. For today, day 23, we are designing a 3D printable present box. Now I have a round version here and you can see we can twist the lid together and you can print this in dual colour. The green screen has made this slightly invisible here. We're going to design a square version of this, as you can see on the screen here. It works just as well and you can either print it in dual colour printer if you've got something like an Ultimaker or a Bamboo, or if you've got a single extrusion printer. I'll show you at the end how we merge all the bodies so you can print it in one go. So let's jump into Fusion and get started. So we're going to create a new component to get started, and this is going to be the box. So I'm going to name this one box. We're also going to need some inspection section analysis in these design. So inspect section analysis, and I'm just going to create that one there and click OK. And we'll come back to that in a moment. So for the box, I'm going to create a sketch on the XY plane. I'm going to create a rectangle, center point rectangle, and this is going to be 50 by 50. Now, of course, you could adjust this design to the size of the 3D printer you have. Just scale everything up if you would like to. Clicking finish sketch and extruding that by 50 millimeters. And you can see that section analysis. We don't need that for now, so I'll just turn that off until we need it. Creating a sketch on the top of that box, I'm going to do a circle 44 millimeters diameter, and I'm going to extrude that circle up by 10 millimeters. And then going to add a shell. So shell this by 3 millimeters to create a hollow box. If I turn on that analysis, you can see the box there. I'm going to use the thread tool. So create and then thread. So create and then thread. And I'm going to select that outer surface of the design there. And I want to model the thread. I'm going to use Fusion's defaults for this. And we should end up with something like this. I'm then going to add a chamfer to the inside surfaces. So these three here, just turn off the analysis, go around to the side. If you hover over, you should be able to select that edge. Turning the analysis back on so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to drag this handle down, and I want to make it so that we end up with no flat overhang here, and this is so that it will 3D print. And the number you want to go for is 8 millimeters. And this gives us just a tiny bit there, but that will be absolutely fine. Clicking OK. This means the square box will chamfer up into that circular section without needing any support material inside it. So I'll come back to the box later. So just saving my design as I go along. Activating my top level component, I'm going to create a new component. And this one is the lid. So I'm going to start from this top surface of the present box and create a sketch on that top surface. Now I could just project through the body to do this. So project, P on the keyboard is the shortcut, bodies, and then that outer circle there. And we've got that projection. So I projected through the outside of that box, and I'm going to add in a circle, the 44 millimeter diameter, because we'll need this for the next bit. Creating an extrusion of both profiles. So just making sure I've got everything. Don't want any gaps in there. Just try that again. I'll hide the box so I can see what I'm doing. So making sure I've got all of the profiles. If you're struggling to select them, you could do a box select. I'm going to drag that up by 20 millimeters. I'm then going to do an extruded cut of my circular section that I created and extrude that up by 13 millimeters to create that internal section of the design. I'm then going to add a thread to that. So create thread, just hide my sketch so I can select that internal surface. So create and then thread on that internal surface, and I want that thread to be modeled. Now, fingers crossed, we've lined up this with our other thread. So that is absolutely excellent. That's exactly what I want. I want this thread here. Now, if yours hasn't, you could use the move command to do that thread and just rotate the box around until it's in the right orientation for your design. Now I'm going to go back to the box and create a parameter called manufacturing tolerance. So new parameter, little plus there, manufacturing tolerance. Now this will depend on the tolerance that your 3D printer prints on. So I'm going to add a tolerance of 0.01. I'm going to click OK, and then I'm going to activate my box, make sure I've got that activated, and use a push-pull. So I'm going to hide the lid, use a push-pull, and I just want to select all of the surfaces on the thread. So just rotate it around and make sure you've got them. And I want to do an offset of minus manufacturing tolerance, okay? And we'll do that as a push-pull. And you'll see that this... So if I just roll back the timeline, so without the tolerance, we're quite close. And then with the tolerance, we have a slightly bigger gap. And you will need to adjust this based on your 3D printer. So you may need to do a slightly bigger tolerance depending on what you do. I've just realized I meant to do 0.1 there, not 0.01. So I'm going to click my parameters, double click this and 0.1. There we go, that looks a little bit better. I thought it was looking a little bit small. So there we go. So without the tolerance, that's what we have. And then with the tolerance, that's what we have. So you may need to do a few tests on your 3D printer to work out what works best for your design. So once we've got that in place, so still working on our box component, I'm going to create a sketch on the bottom plane of the design. And I'm going to create a rectangle. And this is going to be out here. So I want this to be a dimension. So the length is going to be 10 and the thickness is going to be 2. And I would like to center this. So I'm going to select my line of the rectangle and then the line of the box to bring that to the center of the box. Once I've got that, I'm going to extrude that profile and my distance is going to be to object, so up to the top. I don't want to join it unless you have a single extrusion printer, you don't want to join it. So I want this to be in dual color and I'm going to create a new body for this. So new body there. Okay. I'm then going to add in a fillet. So I want to fillet both of those edges and that fillet is going to be a 1mm radius. Now I could create all 4 of those separately, but I'm going to use a trick with a circular pattern. So create circular pattern. I'm going to pattern some features, selecting them from my timeline. So that extrude and the fillet, and I'm going to pattern these around my Z-axis. Now I don't want 3 of these, I want 4 of them, and you can see that actually puts them in the locations that I want. Clicking OK, we then see we have 4 of those ribbon pieces around the box. I'm going to do the same thing with the lid. So viewing the lid and activating it, I'm going to select create a sketch on the top surface. The same rectangle, you can hide the box if it's in the way for you. So create a rectangle here, 2 by 10, and then use that midpoint constraint, that triangle, to snap those 2 lines to put it in place. I'm going to do that extrude of that profile. Again, I want this to go to object. So I'm going to select the object here. And again, I want this to be a new body. Extruding that down there. Now this time I'm going to do the circular pattern before I add the fillets, and it'll become clear why we do this in a moment. So patterning that feature there around the axis. So I want that around the axis there, and I want 4 of them in place. And I've just turned off that analysis so we can work on that design. I'm then going to create the top bit of the ribbon with the bow here. So I'm going to create a sketch on the top surface there, and I'm going to draw in some lines. So I want to make sure that I can snap to the points here. So hover over, if they don't snap, just add them in for now, and then we'll add the constraints in afterwards. So adding in 4 lines like this. So I'm just going to quickly add them in, and then we will constrain them into position. So in order to constrain them, we're going to use a coincident constraint. So I'm going to select that endpoint, select coincident, and then grab this corner here. So select the endpoint and grab the corner. And I want to do that for all of the ends of the line. Now you may have been able to do this when you were drawing the lines initially. If not, you can just do that. If you can't get the point, press and hold, and you'll be able to select the correct vertex for that. So pressing and holding and selecting the point. So grab the end of the line and bring it to that corner of there. And then I'm going to finish my sketch now that it's fully constrained and extrude that cross profile that I've created upwards by the same thickness that I had on the ribbons before. So I'm going to extrude that up 2 millimeters, but I don't want to join it because it would join it to the lid as well. So I'm just going to create a new body for now. Just missed one of the profiles. So editing my extrusion, make sure you grab all of the profiles. So starting to bring this ribbon design together. So I'm going to merge these bodies. So I'm going to use a modify and combine, opening up my list of bodies to make sure I select the correct ones. I'm going to merge all of these bodies into one singular body. And you can see now we have body 2 and the ribbon design there. Now I can add my fillets for this. So each of the edges, I want a 1 millimeter fillet. So grabbing all of the edges on the ribbon design, and we're going to add a 1 millimeter fillet for all of these. So clicking all 20 of those and then type in 1 millimeter there, and you'll see that it fillets the whole design with this rolling ball edge in the corners where you have that there. So now we can add the ribbon piece on the top of here. We're now going to add in that bow bit of the ribbon, that bit on the top there. So creating a sketch on the YZ plane and then zooming in, I just want to project through the top surface of this. So project on the keyboard is P, and then you can just project through the body there of the ribbon to use this as a guide. Now I'm going to create a circle first, and this is going to be a construction circle. So I'm going to turn on construction, and I just want to bring that down here. I'm going to use this later in the design. So I'm going to make that a tangent to here. I'm then going to do a line from the midpoint up here to a tangent around that circle, and then one from the line down here. Now I don't want these ones to be constraint lines. I want those to be solid lines. I'm going to add in a dimension from here to here of 45 degrees, from here to here of 60 degrees, and then from this point here to this point here of 5 millimeters. And this will fully define the sketch. I'm then going to add in an arc from the point here to the top point there, but I don't want that to be construction. So I want that to be solid and just bring that in there. I'm then going to use an offset of that design, bring that in by minus 1.5, and then just extend that line down parallel to the closing point there. And that there is the basis for our ribbon. So I'm going to create an extrude, and then we're going to select that profile. I want my direction to be symmetric, and my distance is going to be 4 millimeters. And you can see that brings the whole width of the ribbon design there. And that's going to be a join operation. I'm going to create a mirror. So create a mirror. And I would like to mirror the feature, which is that extrusion. And the mirror plane is going to be this profile here. So clicking OK to create that ribbon up there. And then going to add in a fillet of 2.5 millimeters just to give that smooth edge of the design there. So activating my top level component and viewing the box, you can see the two designs there that interlock to create that thread together design. Now for 3D printing this, I'll show you how you can 3D print this in dual color. So I'm going to add in some appearances to make it easier to explain. So A on the keyboard is the shortcut for appearance. And I'm going to do a green matte plastic for this one. So just searching for green matte plastic. And I'm going to add this to bodies. So I want to add it to this body and I want to add it to this body. I'm then going to do a red. So red plastic mat. So just searching for that one. And I'm going to add that to the top ribbon and then the 4 ribbons around the outside of the design. So now this is how we could 3D print this in 2 colors. So you can export these bodies. So if you're using something like Cura, you can bring in the 2 separate STL files, set your colors for your 2 materials, and you can print it all in one print, something like this. Now, if you're using something like Bamboo, you could actually merge all the bodies and paint it in the slicer for that. Now, if you've only got a single extrusion printer, the way that we can do this is you can right click on your whole component, save as mesh, and you can just save the whole thing as one file. Bring that into your slicer and print it in a single color. Now, if we're doing each body separately, so we can set those colors, save as mesh, and you can set that to 1 body per file, and you can set up your colors in your 3D printer. So there we go, day 23 of CADVent 2024. If you've got any questions, please do post them in the comments section below. If you've enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up, a like, and I hope you've enjoyed CADVent so far. I will see you for tomorrow for our final day, day 24 of CADVent 2024. See you in the next one.